Hello and welcome back to the model bench. In this video I am just going to do a part from start to finish and just show how I approach it, how I paint it, how I do a little bit of weathering, so you can kind of see from start to finish a single piece. So I decided to do this piece here. It's just one of the little areas on top of the ship. I don't know what it's actually, I must look up what is it actually. But yeah, you can see, so this is how it comes in the Trumpeter kit. Obviously I've got the KA upgrade, so I'm going to have to get rid of these little lights, get rid of the door, get rid of these handles. Same way, get rid of these lights, this door. So I'll sand them all off. I'm then going to have to add the scale decking, like so. So it's just going to glue there. Then we've got this piece goes on top, and again a ladder door needs to be added up front and a ladder. I have most of my photo etch ready to go, so I've got my doors, and again I don't need to go through PE, how to cut PE and the photo etch, but there's the parts there now. So obviously these little vents go on the front here, and again they'll all need to be painted. We've got these two, they will go here either side, and again I think there's a door attached there. It's also got the ladder attached. So as you can see, this is just one tiny part, and look at the amount of add-ons and bits and pieces. There's the railing that goes on top. We've got the other side here with the ladder. There's two of them. Got a couple of these fellas that go on top. Let's get rid of that. As you can see, they just sit on top. They need to be painted. Another bit of railing, and more doors. I'll have to double check the instructions just to see. I've got another ladder, so that's obviously for up here, and then I've got another one of these pieces. Now originally I saw these holes here and I thought maybe they should be lit up. So what I originally was going to do was I bent a bit of fibre optic. I was going to insert that in there. Oops. Just insert that in there. And then I'm definitely going to be putting lights in this building. So I thought the lights in this building will then illuminate up top. That's why I have the little holes drilled. Oops. I have the little holes drilled in here. Let's get rid of them. So as you can see, that just goes in there, and then that will attach there. But now I see other modelers aren't lighting these up, so maybe this building wasn't lit up, only the bottom half was. So I think I'm going to scrap that idea. I'll just cover up those holes. But I definitely will be drilling out 1, 2, 3, 4 lights. Probably put in little nano lights. I've also then got the window frames, and I primed them with photo etch primer. I'll show you that now. And then I just painted these brown. I might have to give them another little coat, I think, by the looks of it. I just painted them my window colour. Again, I'll throw up what colour I'm using for the windows. So they're ready to go as well. And then I've also got the glass from the Midwest Model Shop, from Ben and Nora. And these will obviously sit in there first, and then the frame will sit on top. Oops. Then the wooden frame, or the wooden frame will then sit on top of this. So as you can see, this is just one small piece, and look at the amount of different pieces that you have to prepare, prep, prime, paint. But it's worth it. That's the hobby. So yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do obviously is just sand off any detail that we don't need. I'll then install as much photo etch as I can, and then we'll prime the whole lot. Same with this. Oops. And yeah, we'll take it from there, and then once it's all painted I can add the top decking and then this and whatever. So that's the plan. So on with doing a little bit of sanding. I'll be right back. Here are my parts now all primed. I've added all the photo etch, the little handrails, the little lights at the front, and the doors, handrails again, so they're all added. And then I've just primed it all, so that's ready now for the flat white. Primed the railing as well, and the little room at the top. I've added the door, the ladder, and little portholes. And then these two little pieces that will go here, all primed. And then finally just the little grates. So again, I'm going to just paint all these completely flat white. Then this roof will be grey, and then I will pick out the details on these, just the handrails, and then I'll put in the glass in the windows and then the actual window frames. Also what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in here dark grey, so that when the mesh goes on top it just gives the impression that it's actually, you know, leading somewhere. So we'll get on now, and I will, as I say, paint these now in a flat white. So I have all my parts painted, ready to be assembled. The little rail in there, the little house that goes, or the little room that goes on top of the structure. Those two little fellas. Originally I had put in the kit parts here, the photo etch, but I'd made a mess of painting them. I always, whenever I'm painting them, I always seem to get all the holes clogged. So I went through my parts box and I found actually some photo etch from a tank kit. So, and they matched exactly perfect. So this time, bit of advice, if you're ever painting mesh like this, I used to just stick it to something like this and paint it, but of course the paint just pools and then fills the holes. So this time I actually had it barely hanging off the edge here and just stippled on the paint, and it's just much better. You get much better coverage. As I said, I painted inside of these dark grey. I just think that gives a really nice effect of it actually being a chamber going down. And then I've got my roof railing here. So the next step I'm going to do is just glue this wooden deck onto the top. I'm just going to use some white wood glue. So I'm just going to put it on with a brush, and I'll put it on the structure and on the part itself. You don't want to use too much because it will just obviously squirt out. So I like to try and get a really good coverage on the roof or on the part that you're applying it to, and then I will put some on the actual deck itself, and I would hope then with both sections having glue that should be enough. Okay, so that should be enough there, and then I'm just going to put some on the back of this. And again, you don't want to have massive gloopy amounts. Just a nice overall even coverage should be fine. Okay, so now stick it on, and because it's a small surface we should be okay for air bubbles and the whole lot. but just in case, I'll just use a Q-tip just to make sure there are no bubbles. That's gone on really nice. Yeah, you don't want to get with these decks, it's very easy, particularly on larger sections, it's very easy to get ripples in the deck. That's why it's important to get even coverage all over, because if there's one bit that one part of this that doesn't have glue, it will just start to bubble and start to ripple. But I think that looks pretty good. On this piece as well, I also painted in the ladders, and then we've also got to put in the windows. I painted the handrails, so that looks pretty good. So we'll give that a few minutes to dry and then we can proceed. While that part's drying, I'll just show you some little weathering techniques in some of these small parts. So as you can see there, just painted flat white. See if I can get a better picture there now. So all I'm going to do is I got my weathering powder. This is the Tamiya Weathering Master and Dry Brush Effect. I've got yellow, grey and green. So I'm just going to get a little bit of the yellow. And I'm just lightly hitting some of the high spots. Again, it's just to give it a little bit of break up the flat colour. Give it a little bit of kind of, I suppose, lived in look, or something that isn't just a small piece of plastic painted white. That's what you're trying to achieve with all these parts, I think. So I think that just makes a difference, you know. It's almost like you're adding kind of small little artificial shadows. And then even on the deck house, or whatever this piece is, again, you don't want to go over the top. Like, it's not like you're weathering a tank that's been in, you know, service in North Africa for 4 years. You're really just giving, as I keep saying, you just don't want it to look like a small flat piece of plastic. And just in regards to this piece, I've seen people put a door on both sides. That's the way the kit came, but then when I looked at some reference pictures, there didn't seem to be a door on the back. It seemed to be a ladder on the back, door on the front, and then the window goes to the back, so it would fit on like that. So that's the way I'm going, you know. I'm not getting too caught up with, you know, I'll do as much research as I can, get it as correct as I can, but, you know, I'm not going to hold up my model because I can't find, you know, information. I'm happy enough, and I think that's the way everybody should approach their model. You're happy with it, and you're getting as best as you can. That's good enough, you know. Nobody wants to be building models and having to be stressed out over it. Now we're just going to glue this top bit onto that. As I said before, I did have these holes drilled out, and I was going to drop a fibre optic down, but I couldn't see any reference showing that area would be lit up, so I just decided again, I just made a decision and said, right, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just getting a little bit of glue. Should be fine. The part fits really well, so that's always good. Just push that into place. As I said, any reference picture I've seen, this porthole is towards the back of the building, so that's the way I've done it. And again, any reference I've seen, because it is a difficult area to see on the ship, I've seen just a door here, I haven't seen a ladder, so that's why I went with the ladder at the back. So yeah, we can also glue in these pieces. They fit pretty good. Yeah, they fit really nicely. So again, small bit of glue. Actually, there's a bit of glue still. That was handy. Brilliant. Happy with that. So now I'm going to glue in the railings. Ben from the Midwest Model Shop actually did one recently on gluing railings, and it was really handy. Go check that out. It's particularly if you're doing a really large area of railings. It was really a great technique that he used. I already had this piece bent, so I'm hoping I can just put glue around and drop it in and it should be okay. But definitely in future I will be following Ben's technique. It was just really good. His railings turned out amazing. But I have this bent from where it should go, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue and then we'll drop it in place, and fingers crossed. Again, just with railings, they're so fragile. Even if you just look at them, they seem to get bent out of shape. But you can see, you know, even with this tiny small piece, once you do all the little add-ons and the upgrades, just how much work is involved in prepping the parts, getting them all painted, you know. And this is such a tiny part of the ship, and it's just, you know, days of work. Okay, so here we go, fingers crossed, deep breath. I also think I noticed, just from watching Ben's video, I think this railing should have been on the outside lip. But as I said, I already had it bent in shape, so I didn't want to go messing around with it, so I'm happy enough just to leave it alone. Okay, that side's pretty good, I think. It just seems to be that photo etch goes in every direction and every place that you don't want it to go. And the more, as I say, the more you even look at it or touch it, it just seems to bounce all over the place. It's ridiculous. But that's pretty good, I'm happy with that. Again, as I say, I can touch it up if I need to. Here we go, that's better. Yeah, that's pretty good. I always find it amusing with CA glue. It never seems to stick. Sometimes it doesn't stick the part you want, and yet put it near your fingers and it'll be stuck to everything. So it's like it just decides what it wants to stick. It's never the part you want. So I'm just pulling that railing back a bit, just holding it in place for a few seconds. I'm hoping that's going to keep that one in place. Then we've just got this last railing which is going up the front. It's going to sit in there. Yeah, that should be good. I think the key to all of this is just test fit everything. Take your time. Don't rush anything. And when you're 100% sure that your part is ready and it's going in the right place and it's not upside down, then you're okay to proceed. Whoops, it's not quite sitting right. There we go. Oh, very happy with that. That looks great. See if I can get a little bit more glue on the front there just to pull that railing back. As I said, I shouldn't have really, if I had have, just kind of test fitted stuff, and I would have realised that that railing should have gone on the outside lip. But it's fine, it'll be okay. Okay, so that turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that. Got my railings all the way around. Got my new grills in. Got my little roof piece put in. So I found another weathering kit, another Tamiya one, sand, light sand, mud. So I'm going to just, what is this, light sand. I think it's a nice colour to put on the white. And again, I'm just rubbing a little bit here. Let's get a bit of definition. Not sure how well the camera is picking that up. It is very subtle. Better now. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then just on the roof, I'm going to use a bit of this grey. Again, just to give it a bit of definition, particularly around the edges. Okay, I'm happy with that. So, next step is going to put in the windows. So again, when I'm prepping a part, I just get all the parts I need. It helps then as well to just put them in a little bag, so that you have everything at hand. Just tidy up here a little bit. So I know these are the windows I got from Ben at the Midwest Model Shop. I'll put a link below. So these are already pre-cut, ready to go, which is very handy. So I counted out how many I needed from the original bag, and then I just put them all with the part I'm about to work on. So you can see the windows there. I'm going to use this glue and glaze. It's for making crystal clear windows and bonding canopies and most plastics. So it dries clear, so it should be perfect. And all I'm going to do is, I've got my pickup stick, homemade pickup stick. It's just a chopstick with some double-sided sticky tape. Just allows me to pick up the parts. Very handy. You can buy obviously proper ones, but it does the job for me. So I'm going to need just a little cocktail stick. And let's see, we'll try this front window first. We'll start small. So again, a little bit of the glue and glaze, and remember it will dry clear, so that should be okay. And there is a little kind of a lip here. So I'm just dropping in little drops of glue. Okay, oops. Then we get my window. Just drop it into place. Hang on. There we are, that's better. As you can see, it's very tricky. Any of that glue excess should dry clear. Don't forget there's a window frame going on top. Actually, I'll do a window frame while I'm here. These are my window frames. Again, I just stick them to a little bit of double-sided sticky tape, but not fully. And painted them. Kind of dab the paint on. So we'll just remove one now. Again, these can be touched up once I have them installed. Same deal, we'll do a bit of canopy glue. That's a lot of canopy glue, but anyway, it should be fine. And then drop my window in. That should all dry clear, so it should be fine. Now we'll get on and do another one. These side ones are a little bit trickier. Here we go. I'm probably using too much glue, so I'll ease up on the glue. Okay, I'm going to get on with the rest of these, but it's the same method basically, and we'll see how it turns out. And here's the finished piece, all done. So pretty happy how it turned out. Just the new vents I put on, so they worked out well. All the windows in place, nice railings. As I said before, it should have been on the outside, but I think I'll get away with it. I also added these two little signs. I think they're, you know, saying what the door, obviously the entrance to, second or first class, I'm not really sure. And more windows, they worked out really well, so I'm very pleased with them. So that piece now I'm going to just put away. It's ready just to go. Once that deck is in place, that's ready to go and sit on top. But yeah, very happy. I imagine I will be putting lights in here, either a little strip of LEDs or a couple of nano lights, just to light up that room. So yeah, so that one small piece, you saw everything involved. So I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please like and subscribe, and until next time, take care. So I'm just going to go through how I weathered some of these pieces just to make them look a little bit more realistic. I realised I didn't do these, so I'm going to show you how I did these. just to kind of get that match there. And then this is my capstans. These are the KA pieces, capstans, so they're kind of turned brass. So I masked off the top of these, spray painted them the dark iron colour, took off the masking, and then you've got that on top, but that's, to me, that's too bright. So I had one of these little Tamiya weathering kits. This one's got sand, light sand and mud. So I actually used a little bit of the mud, and yeah, I was quite pleased with how it turned out. Again, I just have these stuck to a lollipop stick, bit of double-sided, holds them in place. And all I did was just dull them down a little bit, just like so. And I think it just gives it a better, obviously a more realistic look. That's what we're going for, kind of lived in, you know. And the beauty of this is if you don't like it, you can just wipe it off. So I'm just rubbing that over it like that, and already I think that makes a huge difference. Then if we want, we can even, here's another one, Tamiya weathering kit. You've got yellow, grey, green. So maybe a little touch of green on them, you know. Put that one back. So get a little bit of green. I think that gives it a much better, especially at that scale. And if we really want to go nuts, we could get this one, maybe get the light sand. I'm just going to rub it kind of a little bit on the edges. I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with them. So it just gives that kind of, you know, weathered look. Something that's been in use, you know. It's so simple, and I just think it makes a huge difference. So that's them. So on these ones, what I did was I got this colour. So I'm going to go with light sand. Get a little bit of that. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm just going to lightly rub it over, you know, little grooves where stuff would build up, you know, around the edges, the corners, like this. Again, maybe a little bit there where there's a lip, that little protrusion there. And what I found last time, I felt I'd gone too heavy on these, so I actually gave them just a light coat of flat white again, and it just dulled them all down. And again, I just think there's a huge difference between this and that one. That to me just looks like a little bit of kind of plastic painted white, while this one I think just gives a little bit more character, you know. And don't worry if you do too much, because as I say, you can just spray over it with white and it will tone the whole thing down, you know, because you don't want it to look like it's been at sea for, like, you know, 50 years or anything. So, and you can see I'm being kind of, you know, not being too particular, just getting it on there, roughing it up. And I'm going to be spraying some white in a second, so I can just give these a hit of white over the top. So I'll go on and do the rest of these, and then I'll show you the result. So there are my pieces done. As you can see, it's probably a little bit heavy, but once I airbrush over them, it should tone it down, and you get that lovely little effect. These are really nice. I think you've just got a nice little bit of shading, picking out all the little kind of rivet details. And again, I just think it's so much nicer than just a white piece of plastic. It just gives it a little bit more depth, a little bit more life, I suppose. So I'll get on now and airbrush the flat white over them.